Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. As we launch our strategy today, agriculture remains at the center of both our economy and our financial inclusion agenda. Yet so many farmers, and especially women and young people, still face significant barriers to accessing finance. Our panel today will bring together industry experts to explore how we can rethink agriculture financing to drive inclusive growth in agriculture. Allow me to introduce the panelists of this discussion, and I'll bring in Mr. Adet Kachi. Mr. Adet Kachi is the CEO for Yehu Microfinance. Yehu has partnered with MES since 2007 to strengthen financial inclusion and institutional growth. Through this collaboration, MES has provided debt capital, supported strategic planning and product development, and built staff capacity for Yehu Microfinance, enhancing the institution sustainability and outreach. Kindly put your hands together as we welcome Mr. Adet. Karibu sana. Our next panelist on stage will have Mr. Dominic Mutunga, the CEO for UTS Sacco. Universal Traders Sacco Limited has partnered with MEST since 2004. That is over 20 years of partnership. This partnership has looked at expanding access to finance to underserved communities, particularly in the ASAL communities. Through this collaboration, the Sacco has strengthened its system, governance, and agri-finance products, while scaling lending to farmers and piloting innovative solutions such as irrigation financing. Remember, we're talking about the ASAL communities, through credit guarantee schemes. This partnership has enhanced efficiency, expanded outreach, and supported sustainable growth. The Sacco is led by CPA Dominic Mutunga, who is the CEO. A hand to Dominic as he comes to stage. Next on stage, it is my pleasure to welcome the CEO for Caritas Microfinance, Mr. David Mukaro. Caritas Microfinance Bank, led by David Mukaro, has partnered with MES since 2022 to strengthen financial inclusion and institutional capacity. Through this collaboration, MEST has provided debt capital, grants for visibilities, and financial literacy support for members, alongside capacity building for staff. This partnership has continued to enhance the bank's outreach, service delivery, and in-depth impact. A hand of applause to David as he comes to stage. As we continue, my next panelist is Ms. Esther Moyi. Esther Moyi is the CEO for ECLOF, Kenya. ECLOF, led by Esther, has partnered with MEST since 2007 to advance financial inclusion and institutional growth. Through this collaboration, MEST has provided debt capital, supported product development, and strengthened staff capacity. During COVID-19, as we all know, MEST supported business continuity and staff training for ECLO, ensuring resilience and service delivery. A round of applause for our guests, Madam Esther. Last but not least, allow me to welcome Ms. Catherine, the CEO for Times U Sacco. Times U Sacco has grown from small self-help group into model Sacco through its long-term standing partnership with MEST. With support in business advisory, ICT upgrades, and capacity building, the Sacco has transitioned from manual operations to full computerization systems, enhancing efficiency and growth. MEST has also supported resilience through flexible working tools and operational support during the COVID-19 season. The Sacco is led, of course, by Catherine Mwamba, who is the Chief Executive Officer, under whose leadership the Sacco has continued to grow and demonstrate strong performance and impact. So we continue with conversations, not just presentations, and conversations from real people. Let's start with the heart of the matter, inclusion. Because if finance is not reaching smallholder farmers, and especially women and young people, then we are only solving a part of the problem. Mr. Mikaru, allow me to come to you first. Agriculture remains very central to our livelihoods. Yet access to finance, and especially for women and youth, continues to be constrained by risk perception and structural barriers. What bold approaches is your institution implementing to expand equitable access to finance for young women and men as also smallholder farmers, integrate climate-smart practices into financing model, and effectively de-risk lending?
Thank you very much. First and foremost is to really appreciate and congratulate MESPT for this great milestone of the strategic plan 2026-2030, and we really appreciate and happy to be here. Caritas Microfinance Bank is an institution that has been there for quite a while. Let me say it was more of an informal institution, started in 1983 through the self-help groups that were established throughout our parishes, because we are a church-owned institution. And the formation of the bank now was a culmination of the structures that were there before at the parish level and also the groups, and then Caritas was born in that ecosystem. So we are what you'll consider an ecosystem bank within that environment. And we have used that environment together with the partnership of MESPT to be able to create value chains that have de-risked the challenges that face the youth and the women. You are aware that when you provide finances to the youth and the women, and any borrower for that matter, and there is no proper structure, there is no proper value chain, then either of the investor will suffer because of the risks they are in at that particular time. So as a bank, we have used the ecosystem ourselves to de-risk the challenges that have faced the youth and the women through what we call the parish empowerment model. And the parish empowerment model is so critical because it assumes and proposes that the parish is the center of both spiritual and socio-economic prosperity of the people. So we have used that structure to the maximum to be able to target, aggregate the youth, aggregate the value chains, to be able to de-risk the challenges that youth in agriculture face. For instance, just to give an example, the Archdiocese of Nairobi started a milk processing plant in Limuru, and the biggest challenge now was how do we bring in the youth, how do we bring in the women in that value chain. And as a bank now, through the financing from MESPT, we were able to come up with a very strong end-to-end financial service structure that looked at the farmer level, the youth that were supporting the farmers, because majority of the youths were at the transportation level and also at the value addition level. And we were able to string all the value chain players all the way to the youth at the end of the process. That is now the distributors on the ground to be able to distribute the milk. So we were able to do a value chain analysis and be able to structure where the youths are sitting, be able to provide them with the financial services. And so far, we've seen tremendous participation. Our youth participation at the bank level was low. But when we now brought in that aspect of a parish empowerment model, we saw a spike in terms of youth participation and women participation. So I can say value chain financing, value chain analysis, and value chain approach is one of the best way to reduce the risks around the women and the youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukaru, for that. I'll pose the same question to the rest of the panelists. Yes, your portfolio has really grown on agriculture. We want to hear your perspective. How have you done the same in terms of expanding the access to young men and women and also people in the smallholder farming?
Thank you, Lispa, and it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. Just a background of ECLOF Kenya is a microfinance institution that was established here in Kenya in 1994. I'm seeing a good friend nodding, familiar with our history. So faith-based Christian organization, first established to restore churches after the World War, but later transitioned into empowerment of the micro client, providing credit primarily, but also non-financial services like financial literacy training, business development services. Very similar history with Caritas, but for us, we are still a microfinance institution, not yet a bank. Just to answer your question, it's really great to tell the story because we have worked with MESPT for quite a number of years. I must confess that prior to our engagement with MESPT, and most of my colleagues can attest that financial institutions develop product just thinking about our risk. For us, we have to think about sustainability in the way we develop our products. So it was basically a generic product. As long as it's a farmer and you're able to give that product and earn some income out of it, then that was it. But back in those years, we started learning, and one of the support we received is from product development training or consultancy that we received from MESPT. Back then, our portfolio size was just 2% of agri, but fast tracking today, our portfolio is 31% agri. The perception, of course, has been that funding agriculture or agribusiness is risky. But for us, we have evidence to suggest it is all about how you model those products and how you look at the needs of the farmers and then you curate solutions that would address those needs. So I was very happy to see the engagement in the morning from farmers like Keith, if that was his name, the young man, because that really resonates with the kind of farmers that we are serving today. Farmers who went out there with little knowledge about agriculture, and then we were able to somehow, using the support we got from MESPT, train them. So I can emphasize that our success journey has a lot to do with building capacity. Then I would say also in the way that we develop our products, because initially we were very collateral-led, and that was the buzz. As long as you feel safe as a financial institution, then you feel that you have done enough. But if we really want to go past inclusion in terms of access to inclusion to transformation, then we have to think around what David was talking about, value chain financing. And so for us, I'm happy to share around how cooperatives, especially in the dairy sector, has worked for us. We are currently working with 10 cooperatives in the dairy space, Tulaga being one of them. And so very happy to see what MESPT is able to do to build the cooperative at a big level. We cannot intervene from the machinery equipment, but we can intervene from the funds we've received from MESPT to be able to pass that benefit to the farmers. And that's exactly what we've done. We've received over $500 million of funding. So I was happy to see that, from the figures, ECLOF has been a beneficiary. This is wholesale funding from MESPT over the period, and we have been able to disburse in excess of 2.1 billion, touching about 38,000 of our farmers in terms of loans. And that has happened over many years, so we have evidence to show that the support we received from you, MESPT, is really making a difference. Of course, there are many other things that we're looking at, but happy to have that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Passing over the mic to Mr. Dominic from UTS. Let us hear from your end how you're doing the same, how you're expanding access to finance to smallholder farmers, young men and women, as well as the general population of women. And then you can pass over the mic to Akach, and then last to Catherine.
Okay, thank you, Madam Lispa. And first, it's my pleasure to be present in this great event when MESPT is launching their strategic plan for the next 4 years, and say congratulations. Now, for Universal Trader Circle, I must mention, it comes from a very humble background. Was founded or registered actually before, because it was founded before it was registered in the year 1991. Universal Trader Circle started as a merry-go-round where the membership was largely composed of shoe shiners and tailors. Those are the founders of Universal Trader Circle. And what informed them to come together was the inability of them to access financial services from the main bank streams, the mainstream banks, the circles which existed at that time, and equally microfinance institutions. Reasons being, one, there was a huge requirement of the minimum savings within the banks, where you can imagine a tailor at that time raising 10,000 or 20,000 was a limitation. Circles which existed then were purely on checkoff, and equally on microfinance, they were unable to access the services. So that is how these members came together to start Universal Trader Circle in the name of Masako Traders. In 1991, that is when the circle was formally registered. But because of its uniqueness, I think there were only 2 circles which were outside the checkoff system. I think it was Masako Trader Circle then, and equally another circle, I think Karachonyo or something, somewhere in Omabe. Because of its uniqueness, was able to draw a number of partners, including Woku and later MESPT in 2004. MESPT has done a number of activities. One, that time, MESPT realized there was, at a certain stage, when a member borrows and grows the circle, will exit to go to the banks. Reason being limitation of the maximum limitation of loans. I think that time the maximum loan amount was around 500,000. So when MESPT came in, they realized this member, once they reached the maximum limit of 500,000, they were exiting now to then go to the banks. So to address that, MESPT came in, one, to develop a product, and number 2, to train both the staff and the board of directors to help them now be able to manage these members. So when they developed the product, I think it was growth-oriented loan. They also supported the circle in form of a wholesale loan. I think that time it was around 5 million, something like that, to be able to just lend only to those members who have reached the maximum amount which the circle could offer. And that helped the circle now to start retaining its members and also to start growing. I think the following year or 2 years later, MESPT came back. One of the items they noted during that period when they were doing the product development, training the board of directors, was operational inefficiency. So they noted now we need to support this circle to go digital. So MESPT also came in to support in terms of the hardware, and I think work that time also supported the software bit. Now, interesting thing is after the full implementation of this automation, this, I guess it was the game changer for the circle. And also during the same period, the circle was introduced a product in micro groups, which we call the serve-up groups. And this was also, other than the exclusion of these small business holders, now the shoe shiners and tailors, the circle had not factored in how to support the women and equally the youth. So they brought in a product for self-help groups. Why were the women excluded? One, they didn't have the capacity to save the circle that huge amount, and the issue of collateral and equally guarantorship. They could not get someone who could guarantee them. But when you bring them in form of a group, they are able to save a small amount. They co-guarantee each other and borrow from that, from their own savings pool. So with that also, the two projects came actually at the same time, the digitalization and that product. And that was end of 2007, 2008 and 9 to the end. And the SACCO was able to grow its membership from 2,200 members to 13,000 by the end of 2009. Now, one, you could see the impact of enhancing the efficiency in service delivery and also creating a product which could include the women and youth. Because largely previously the SACCO was, yeah, there were women, but there were, if you could look at the ratio, it was like 10 to 90%. But since then the SACCO started now growing its membership more or less at equal ratio, where you find the women are around 47%, men are around 53%. So that is where, even to date, where we are, where you'll find like 50-50 ratio of the women and the youth. Now, to get to the agricultural space, that came in 2010, where MESPT commissioned a survey, a visibility survey, within Makueni County on mango farming. We were able to grow that, to go through the process, feasibility, and eventually developing the products and implementing. Within 1 year, we were able to recruit over 3,000 farmers and lend, not only recruiting and lending to these farmers. And this enhanced the mango farming in Makueni to an extent now, because that time we were using an approach, the agricultural value chain financing, where the SACCO was there to offer financial services. There is the farmer who is doing the farming, and equally there is an off-taker who are mostly, they were around exporters, and we had signed a tripartite agreement. To an extent, at one point, the off-takers were not able to buy the mangoes from the farmers they had signed the contract with. And that was the impact of enhancing the capacity of the farmers. And I can say also MESPT was providing the technical capacity to these farmers. So this was another impact. Now, to cut this long story, because if I was to talk, I'll talk almost the whole day talking about the partnership we had with MESPT. MESPT has been able to do a number of activities to us, and which have helped the SACCO to grow and to be where it is. Actually, if we are to talk about the journey of Universal Traders SACCO, you cannot talk about it without mentioning MESPT. And I can say almost 40% of our business growth actually is directly related to MESPT. With an asset base of 1.7 billion, you can now do your math and tell MESPT where it has gone. In terms of product development, capacity building, actually financial support in form of debt. Equally, we had the systems, the digitalization journey about the SACCO. So I'll just stop at that at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lispa. It's a pleasure to be here and to participate in this great occasion of launching the strategy plan 2026-2030. Yehu is based in Coast. It started really maybe by default from an offshoot from an NGO called Choice Humanitarian International. The need of Yehu came in because of a clear gap among the coastal people who we feel were quite socially marginalized, and especially women. And so around 2001 there, the founder, Dr. Rita Lugogo, mobilized about 300 women in a small village called Kikoneni. It's in Mwambalazi, Kwale. And they started doing some savings, just savings without knowing, just keeping women busy and getting a forum for them to engage and chat and kind of relieve their stress from their house chores. And so after 2 or 3 years, there was definitely a need for some funding. So that's when Choice came in and supported the initial fund. But After 3 or 4 years of the same structural issues started coming in, and that's when I came in around 2006. And when at that time the donors were already drained, they could no longer fund something that seemed not to be, doing very well. So the first people that I contacted when I came around was MESPT. I was having a portfolio of about 30 million, and about 75% of it was bad. And there was no money coming. So I remember having a very tough conversation with Njagi, then who was the CEO. He told me, definitely, you are not the kind of person who want to fund with your status. But I really appreciate MESPT, because they said, okay, we will give you 10 million, and probably we can lose 10 million, if you can't pay it back. But let's see what you do, because you've convinced us that you can do something with it. Anyway, that was really a serious seed capital for us, because from then on we were able to push on, and MESPT kept coming in at very critical moments, not only in that seed capital to give money, but also in training. But there are 3-4 instances that they really came in when we were really in need. They came in when we needed a core banking system to support what we had before. They came in when they felt that we need to be more efficient, and so they were the first. Our first tablets came from MESPT, and all our credit officers were able to really have things easy. And then during COVID time, they came in very strongly to support business continuity. Essentially, we've been with MESPT every step along the way. And now, as I'm celebrating, we just started getting regulated from yesterday. And so from yesterday, I'm now under CBK, DCP, and we take it all. Without you people, I don't think we'll be still around. Now strong, about 1.6 billion worth of our portfolio, serving over 80,000, largely women down in coast, etc. So thank you.
I'm going to move to Catherine, but with the next question in the interest of time. So we've gotten some really great insights around how we expand access to finance, how we develop product, how we de-risk through group lending and value chain lending. But then even the best of solutions. Yes, even the best of ideas and solutions cannot act in isolation. So in our strategy, we are looking at partnership and stakeholders engagement as a key enabler for scale. So how is your partnership currently, the current partnerships that you're having, assisting you in expanding access to the smallholder farmers, young men and women, improving your efficiency in your operations and reducing transactional costs, and also allowing you strengthen your structured markets for smallholder farmers and agri-enterprises? And where do you see as the most critical ecosystem gaps that must be addressed to unlock large-scale sustainable impact?
Okay, thank you so much. As you have earned, and in the interest of time, I will talk about TimesU Sacco very briefly. TimesU Sacco is a licensed deposit-taking Sacco formed in the interiors of Meru County. It was formed in a location, initially as a youth self-help group, then it turned into a Sacco, and it was registered as a Sacco in 1993. Over the years, we have changed, and we have transformed the Sacco to the license that we are enjoying currently, offering front office services. Now, our partnership with MESPT started in the year 2008, when your CEO by then, Mr. Jeff Jaggi, came around in Meru and identified us. By the time he came, we were operating in a small room behind a building. the 10 by 10, the normal 10 by 10 rooms. He came there, he visited. We were 2 staff members by then. He came, we talked. I introduced MESP also to my board by then, and the partnership began. In fact, Jeff came when we were completely manual. And thanks to MESP, we automated our services. Also today, I'm very happy that I'm participating in the launching of your 5-year strategic plan, because MESP helped us to have our very first strategic plan, which propelled the circle from where we were to a circle of, a status circle in the community. So MESP came in when we really had real gaps in capacity building, in policy development. So you helped us come up with a 5-year strategic plan. You connected us to very good consultants who walked the journey with us. Capacity building of our members, capacity building of our staff. And up to date, since 2008, we are enjoying the partnership. So I really feel indebted to give back to the community, because MESP has given us the platform to shine and also to give back to our communities. So back to the question on the gaps. The gaps are there because in most lending, we were lending and we are lending using collaterals. But when we look at the women and the youth, they do not have those collaterals. So we are looking at packaging loan products where we are giving our women an opportunity to access loans using other methods, maybe in self-help groups, maybe we link them to value chains where we can be able to lend to them, and then through the organizations they are working with, we get back our money. For example, in the milk value chain, we partner with milk cooperative societies, we get the farmers, we lend to them, and then we are able to make sure that through the milk this lady or this woman is giving to the cooperative society, she can be able to pay back our loan. So the gap is, how are we financing those who are not able to come up with a collateral? Number 2, the other gap is concessional loans. When we get back to the financing in the industry, it is like the interest rates have been pegged somewhere. Maybe the base lending rate and what have you. But through MESP, we are able to get concessional loans. And that's a gap we are filling, because the women are able now to access very cheap credits, and they are able to do their day-to-day runnings. Again, the reach, because we are community-based circle, and we are in the interior of the villages. For MESP cannot, maybe in a way you can be able to reach those communities, but there is a gap. There is that woman in the village. There is that youth who has already finished the school and is waiting for the white-collar job. So this gap is to tell the youth, now you can employ yourself, just as we have seen. So this is a gap. As Times You Circle, we are willing to fill. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Catherine, for that. I think you should have told them about that. From a 10 by 10 office, you now have Times U Plaza.
Oh, let me say that. Let me say that. MESP found us in a 10 by 10 room, but currently I boast of 7 branches and a satellite office. Again, I have a Times U Circle Plaza. I wish I had the photos to show. We are so happy that through the partnership with MESP, we have been able to be a circle. When you come to Meru, you can't fail to know Times U Circle is existing. So thank you so much for that, and we feel indebted.
All right. Thank you so much, panelists, for those conversations. We are really proud to hear those stories. Now, moving forward, MEST is launching 2026-2030 strategy. And basically, we are looking forward. So the stories are beautiful, but then you have to rethink for 2020-2030. So as we fast forward, and I'll start from my panelist here, Esther. As we fast forward, what would we want to see this sector look like? And more importantly, what needs to change? So we envision to see a financially empowered, climate resilient and inclusive agri-food system. Your perspective, how should we rethink agricultural financing in terms of innovation, financing models, and what transformative shifts are needed to ensure that agriculture remains bankable?
Thank you, Lisbeth. I'll just run through my thoughts quickly. Fast forward for me, and this is just to participate to the conversation. I would say data. I would have highlighted it as a gap, but investments around making sure that we have the right farmer data, and partners like MESPT and the development world coming in to really look critically to what extent can we support that data to come through. I know there have been conversations, I'm sure FSD, for example, is here, and they've been looking at very strategic ways to capture that. But for financial institutions like ours to partner and make sure that this conversation to include farmers makes more sense, then we need to take data as gold, because credit is around trust. So trust is a foundation. We are shifting, and I am so happy about the CEOs just spoken. We are shifting from just looking at collateral. But for a financial institution to base lending on trust, then we must also have very credible information that allows us to make decisions. And so investments around farmer data, how to make sure that information is processed well is key. Around climate smart, and I'm saving time because I know there are probably more thoughts, around climate resilience. Also, there have been a lot of initiatives, but some of this is not trickling down to the level that the farmer can understand, where if there was a product that is called climate smart, a lot of the farmers still find that as jargon, but is not quickly relatable to their level. So I would say we can shift from and simplify. I think my point is simplify it so that when you tell a farmer that you need insurance and to support you on climate shocks, how they process that information needs to become clearer. So there's a lot of need for more education around risk management and resilience. So happy to engage in those conversations moving forward.
Thank you so much, Esther. So we only have 2 minutes, so I'll just give each maybe 40 seconds at most to look forward 2030, what we need to see change, and also looking at how more and how better can MES support you.
Thank you. From a very high level, I would say that Kenya is one country that has a lot of financial institutions. First and foremost, we have 39 banks, we have 14 microfinance banks. We now have over 170 DCPs. We have 800 waiting to be licensed. So we have significant capacity. And when you look at the liquidity in the banks, it is very high. Some banks as high as 60–70% liquidity. So it means that we have a lot of money out there. The question is, how do we unlock it and translate it into agriculture, the agriculture sector? And I think that's the big story here. From where I sit as Caritas Microfinance Bank, the biggest issue is how do we de-risk agriculture, because agriculture is generally unsecured. When you look at our bank, 95% of our portfolio is actually unsecured. But you translate it into the IFRS 9, the provisioning is heavy, and it is taking away a lot of our capability. So how does MESPT come in? We need to de-risk these financial institutions by coming up with mezzanine bank with guarantee structures. Apart from just liquidity, how now do we guarantee some of these facilities? I know the government is working very, very hard, but MESPT can also come in to be able to play at the guarantee level, because there's what the government is doing, there is what is still a huge gap that can be able to unlock that kind of facility. The other one is particularly for the regulated microfinance banks, is to give them capacity to lend more. And the way to do that is to give them mezzanine loans that have the capability of being utilized to give single obligor facilities. So that capability is critical for microfinance banks and also commercial banks. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to repeat what has been said because I had 2 items for the future, but I'll bring in the element of youth. I can't identify myself with any credible research which has been done to identify what really the youth want. So for me, I'll be looking forward where MESPT can really do a survey as such to be incorporated in the future strategies. How do we incorporate youth in a serious agricultural activities? Not necessarily being a farmer, but where they can support through innovative means. Thank you.
2 areas. One, I think there's quite haphazard, what they call capacity building kind of resources in the country. So one looks at a situation whereby we can have a very coordinated, purposeful, end-to-end integrated information, capacity building, all that stuff of training people so that they are very reliable, they are known. You had these young people here struggling, someone having to take a whole month, downloading anything about dairy. I mean, I wish there would just be some resource centers where are known and someone walks in and gets that information. I think you could support that. Then there is issue of scalability. We feel MESPT is still playing low in terms of tickets. You gave us some very good facility the other day, and we were able to cushion customers, 100 million facility. Within 3 months, that thing was exhausted. And customers, our farmers are crying, give us more, give us more. We stretched a little bit to 80 million, but we said, no, we can't cope with that kind of, the rates that you guys have given us. So how can MESPT scale up your facility so that you can be able to support more? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My parting shot will be very short as well. On de-risking, we only need to train our members because I think 2 years ago, we partnered with insurance companies to insure our farmers, to help our farmers in insuring their crops. And for sure, I can say when there was drought, they were paid. So what is needed is to train them that there is a buffer. There is somebody who can come in case there is the drought or there is the loss of whatever they were doing. Again, I'm looking at what we call the last mile now that MESPT is engaging in the 5-year strategic plan. What can be done to reach where we have not reached? And I link that to the government, last mile in the rural electrification. So I ask myself, how can we do to reach there and those who have not been reached? And as Times Youth Circle, we are planning to use the already existing systems. The churches, the groups, and even the already existing infrastructure. For example, there are a lot of agents in the villages. How can Times Youth Circle link with the agents to ensure that they know what we are able to offer through the partnership with MESPT? How can we be able to get the churches to buy into our product and services? For example, there is no church which does not have a women fellowship. How do we link with the women fellowship in our churches, in our areas of operation to make sure that we are able to teach them on what MESPT is offering? So I think we can be able to do more, especially in capacity building. And through today's presentation by the youth, I have already identified an opportunity for MESPT to come in and train my youth. Courtesy of 2 facilitators whom I saw, and I pray that they will be very much willing to come down to Meru and teach my youth that it is doable. Thank Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, our panelists of the day. Yeah, thank you so much, the panelists of the day. Great insights. And that is all that we had for the discussions. There's a lot that these ladies and gentlemen can discuss, but we hope to end it at that point. What stands out is that agriculture is bankable. There's a lot that we can do in the agriculture space, but this will take bold thinking as we think forward 2030. Strong partnership. Our partners are here today. They are listening and they are watching, and also looking at solutions that are truly responsive to the needs of these farmers. That is what it takes. So we look forward to 2030 with your partnership. Thank you so much.